Have you ever wondered why you tend to slice your driver, which is annoying, but your irons are all nice and straight or even draw? Should we show you why? So let's talk about the fundamental differences of delivery that encourage this one to go the one way, and for lots of golfers this one stays in a more reasonable place for shaping. So let's just use a basic curve here to try and explain this. Irons generally for lots of golfers, they tend to be hitting on the way down. So the club is passing down. A club that's passing down is travelling more out in relationship to wherever a zero is, where a club that's travelling up, for lots of golfers, a club travelling up is close to their driver, is travelling in. So to get the same club path, so if you're slicing your driver, let's establish that you're hitting out to in with a face that is open to that path, which is causing the curvature one way. There's another way to do it, which we're going to talk about. To get both of your club paths at zero, well, the one that's going down, you need the hoop pointing a little bit left, get that to zero. The one that's going up, you're going to need the hoop pointing a little bit right to hit it at this 0 point now, which is out here on the inward path. So getting the club path the same with an iron that you might hit on the way down, the driver on the way up. Well, the swing directions, the direction you'll look at it on a video, are not the same. They're different swings. So the most common idea and mistake that people get wrong is they try to swing these the same. You've got to swing them different. I'm swinging this one at 112 miles an hour, I'm swinging this one at 90 miles an hour. I'm also pushing in the ground in different ways, which will create different paths and forces that will get chucked out to this club as well. So we're going to talk about how to change that. The other thing that can affect direction with these two clubs, this red dot with a driver is going to have a bigger effect with if the ball draws or fades than it will with an iron. A driver, the centre of gravity is off the face, it's further back than the face. So if you start hitting from the heel or the toe, toe will tend to curve more leftward, heel will tend to curve more rightward, subject to where you start the ball, that's going to hit target or not. An iron, where the centre of gravity of the club is nowhere near as far back, barely off the face, gear effect is going to be minimal, which is why iron faces are flat. Driver faces, you're going to find are curved this way and this way. We call it roll and bulge. These tend to cut where the iron don't for some golfers because of the strike that people aren't working in. And secondly, because you're swinging either down or up, or your paths aren't quite the same with both clubs, which is very common and obvious because of the way we're pulling on it and pushing on it and trying to give more force into it. And they're the reasons why you're slicing this and not your iron. So how can we get this to get a little bit more in line with what your iron's doing? A little disclaimer at the end of the video, so I'm going to show you how to try and make this one slice less now, some great ideas to try and line it up more with your iron. But you got to remember, well, I'll tell you at the end that there's something else that you should be thinking about doing, which I would do with different clubs shaping in different directions. So let's have some setup ideas to kick us off. So the ball position with a driver for lots of golfers hopefully is further forward than where my 8 iron was, because I'm hitting one on the way up and one on the way down. By putting that ball position slightly further forward, what I might now do in my setup to try and get my path, which is going to be going up, so my angle of attack will be going up, get my path near a 0 to in to out to get a similar shaping shot as my iron, I might just drop my trail foot back 1/2 inch, and I will definitely think about dropping my trail shoulder back a fraction. So I'm actually going to set myself up slightly more this way. And think about it. Remember this? So if I'm going to hit on the way up, 0 is going to be there, so on the way up here, so more out towards my finger out here, so I'm going to tilt this hoop this way. Or if I'm hitting on the way down, I want to get 0 somewhere around this point where my finger, I'm tilting it more left. I'm doing that a little bit with my setup as well at the start. So with ball forward, trail foot back, shoulder back, I'm going to see what that does to my shape of shot. So for me on this occasion, it's given me a slightly better path, which has allowed me to shape it in a better direction. But the other thing that I'm going to work into this always is this. The strike was more towards the toe side. So where my setup encouraged a better path to align the path more with the iron, even though the angle of attack still remained different, because I want to hit this on the way up, it helps me with distance, and I want to hit my iron on the way down, because it helps me with connection when the ball's on the ground. The fact that I felt I hit that one slightly to the toe side of middle made me happy that it would move back. If I hit that one out the heel, that, even with my better action, would probably tail a little bit to the right. I wouldn't change that. I would practice on improving strike, but I wouldn't then go and stand with my shoulder further back and trail foot further back to try and encourage it more because you've got to work your strike into every one of these outcomes, certainly when the centre of gravity is off the face. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make sure I let the club go. So often for drivers, when people are trying to pull on them harder, hit harder, get more force through the club, they tend to hang on to angles with the driver. Even some people are taught to have loads of lag and hold on. This just encourages a face to be way open to a path for so many golfers, and they lose it to the right. Now with the iron with more loft, remember, you're going to have certain amounts of handle lean as you hit the ball. You're going to have the club coming down as you hit the ball. So where you still don't want to hold on to loads of angles with this club, you want them coming out. The loft's allowing you to hold on to them a little bit more. And remember, the path going downwards for lots of people is going to push that path more right outwards. So that club coming down is going to encourage that path to go more out. So you've just got so much more safety nets with this. The driver, they're all taken away. So thinking about a club face being open or closed, the slicers, your face is open. The best way to open a club face is to push the handle way forward because it doesn't affect the loft. So you get a straight flight, you don't get a really high flight, a lower flight, a more penetrating flight. And that's what people do. If they start turning it this way, it just goes up in the air. Golfers tend to do that. They don't get the face lining up with the handle, off it goes to the right. We need that club catching up. So you've got your ball forward, you've got your trail foot back, you've got your shoulder just slightly back. What I want you to try and do is just let your trail hand stop the handle as you get down near the ball. So I'm putting my trail hand by my right thigh here, and I'm going to pull the club into that hand, try and stop the handle and feel that club just letting go. Do a few of these before you hit the ball, just to feel that club letting go at the bottom. By letting go of that club a bit more at the bottom, the club might catch up, and you're going to get that turn. So having that slightly different setup and that slightly different release pattern to your driver or your iron is a couple of great ways of maybe starting to align these two clubs a little bit more. So you're that golfer, so many of you, why do I slice my driver and not my iron? Hopefully the answer's in here. Strike's massive. The forces you're putting through might make you move the club on different directions, so changing setup and release patterns might bring them a little bit closer together. You don't need to do it with your iron, remember, because that's in the right place. The question suggests that. But there's another thing you should think about doing as well, and lots of people think this is negative, but I don't. I think this is just a way any good golfer really plays. For some golfers, getting the driver to align with the irons is just a massive ask, and it's really hard for how much time they've got to work with. So having a driver that fades and trying to start it up the left, so point the face left, point your feet left, knowing it's going to slide off to the right. Obviously there's too much curvature on that, but it's hitting target. If I haven't got much time to practice, like lots of you haven't, full-time job, kids, whatever, that's a shot I'm going to play when I get out there. I might practice trying to align them, but playing your shapes with different clubs is an absolute skill that loads of you forget to do. So where I'm aiming my driver 15 yards left off the tee, I might aim my iron that tends to draw 4 yards right on the ground or off the tee to try and bring it back to target. At the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is hit target. The value of understanding the shapes of shots you hit with different clubs rather than wondering why they do different things and then playing that consistent shape is and can be as important as the drills of trying to get them to align. Trying to get them all to align so you don't hit your driver with such a slice is definitely a skill that you should practice and something you would want to know how to do. But don't be afraid to go out there and be aiming in different places for different clubs. I do it. Best players in the world that I've been lucky enough to play with, they do it. If their free iron tends to miss a bit to the right, they will aim a little bit to the left, working that in. You should be doing it as well. So many amateurs think that it's negative to do that. No, you've got to fix faults. They're not faults. You've just got to hit target. Hope that helps. Hope that answers your questions. Why does irons go straight, driver, slice, the way the club is built, and the delivery differences in the two make the driver much easier to slice and the irons, for some people, harder. You can align them and sometimes you don't need to. Let me know if this helps.